A bride died of a heart attack on the altar and was replaced with her sister. Future cars could repossess themselves if you're behind in payments. And a school suspends sex education after a drag queen tells the kids there are 73 genders. These are the weird stories for Tuesday on Weird AF News, the only daily weird news podcast in the universe, and the only daily weird news podcast that records inside a closet, from my understanding. Yeah, let's jump into it. A bride died during the wedding ritual, and the family replaced her with the younger sister. This took place in India. They have a very different culture. Marriage is arranged, typically, from my understanding, so let's not judge right away. Let's learn a little bit here. It says here, it turned out that the day of a woman's wedding would unfortunately be her last. Sadly, a bride in Gujarat's Bhavnagar died of a heart attack in the middle of her wedding rituals at the marriage venue in the Subhashnagar area. Well, I'm really nailing these places. This unfortunate incident took place in front of the Bhagwaneshwar Mahadev temple in Bhavnagar when the bride, Hetal, who is the daughter of a man identified as Jinabe Rathore, was in the process of marrying the groom Vishal, who was the son of Ranabai Bhutabai Algatar of the Nari village. Oh, I'm really on these pronunciations today. Whew, let me pat myself on the back. 1 second. Good job, Jonesy! Okay, so the guests filled the venue with wedding songs playing in the background when the celebrations were forced to halt. Obviously, she had a heart attack at the altar. While performing her wedding rituals, Hetal reportedly felt dizzy and fainted. The doctors told her she had died of I don't think they told her. They told the family she died of a heart attack after she was rushed to a hospital nearby. Even as the family mourned the death of this bride, Hetal, relatives proposed an alternative plan to ensure the wedding celebrations continued. Why? I mean, who cares at that point that the wedding celebrations continue? You have a dead family member on your hands here. Okay, now they suggested the bride's younger sister take her place and marry Vishal. Now, I know these marriages are arranged, so he probably doesn't have any objections. It's just so weird, though. I mean, how do you continue going? I know you paid for the venues, so you're thinking to yourself, that's a lot of money on these wedding venues. Hate to see it go to waste, but would you just go, hey, you, are you single? Why don't you step in here? Hey, could you take that off her head and put it on her head? And now let's continue. I paid a lot of money for this ceremony. I mean, to me, that sounds horrific that you would do such a thing. But maybe this is common? We have here the corporator of Bhavnagar city and the leader of the Maldari Samaj, Laxmanbhai Rathore, described the incident as very sad. He said even though the family was shocked by the death of their daughter, members of society convinced them to set an example and not send the bridegroom and his family empty-handed. Oh yeah, because it's property. At the end of the day, this property being exchanged, it's a kind of a business deal. I mean, they're not exactly marrying for love, in other words. I mean, if this incident is true, which it seems to be, I found the article in various places, then love had nothing to do with it. Yes, it does say here that the leader of the city convinced the family to set an example, not to send the bridegroom empty-handed, even though the family of the bride was devastated by the death of their daughter, as they obviously should be. But then, I mean, how do you go on with a wedding ceremony after it in any sort of good spirits? I mean, that's just got to be the most somber wedding ever, I'd imagine. I mean, how are you supposed to celebrate the conjoining of two people when the original bride, your daughter, has just passed away in front of everybody? I mean, this is kind of crazy to me. But again, I mean, I can't completely judge because I'm very unfamiliar with the culture over there. It's much different than my own. I mean, this would never happen here, but, it seems odd. Do you guys have an opinion on this? Anybody in India could call the show? I don't know if you can call from over there. You could email me, funnyjones@gmail.com. The number is 646-450-2012. In the future, if you miss your car payments, the car might just drive away itself. Average car payments have been rising for a while, as you know. Although auto loan delinquency rates have been down since the height of the pandemic, Ford Motor Company applied for a patent to make the repossession process go a little smoother for the bank. The patent was submitted to the U.S. Patent Office It's titled Systems and Methods to Repossess a Vehicle. It describes several ways to make the life of somebody who has missed several car payments a little harder. It states that the system, which could be installed on any future vehicle in the automaker's lineup with a data connection, would be capable of disabling a functionality of one or more components of the vehicle, everything from the engine to the air conditioning. For vehicles with autonomous or semi-autonomous driving capability, the system could move the vehicle from a first spot to a second spot that is more convenient for a tow truck in order to tow the vehicle away, moving the vehicle from the premises of the owner to a location such as, for example, the premises of the repossession agency, or if the lending institution considers the financial viability of executing a repossession procedure to be unjustifiable, the vehicle could drive itself to the junkyard instead. Now, all of this self-repossession being said in the patent, it doesn't necessarily represent an automaker's intent to introduce these described features, it says, or the technology to its vehicles. Ford might just be attempting to protect this idea for the sake of doing so ahead of time. The document does go into a lot of detail, though, as to how a system might work. The first thing to know is that if your vehicle is connected to the internet in any way, this system could theoretically work on it. The application describes a, quote, repossession computer that could be installed on all future cars to make this system function smoothly. Here's a quote from the patent. In some embodiments, the vehicle computer may be configured to perform some or all functions of the repossession system computer. Basically, if your car has an infotainment system already set up to receive something like over-the-air updates, for instance, this could probably work without physical modifications. Now, be aware there would be several warnings from the vehicle before the system initiated a formal repossession. Well, I would hope so. It says if these warnings were ignored, though, the car could begin to lose functionality ahead of a repossession. The first lost functions would be minor inconveniences, such as you would lose your cruise control if you're behind a payment. You would lose the control of your automatic windows, your automatic seat controls, some component of your infotainment system, such as your radio, GPS, MP3 player, etc. The next level is more serious if you're behind on payments and includes the loss of things such as your air conditioning, automatic door lock unlock system. Imagine that you're behind in your payments and now you got no air conditioning. Hey, Bobby, can we take your car? Yeah, I'm behind a few months on my Ford. We got no AC in mine. And the power steering's out, so it's tough to steer these days. I'm trying to get caught up on the payments, though. Yeah, I don't want to lose everything. Oh, here's another crazy thing. It says they can even turn on an unpleasant sound every time the owner is present in the vehicle if you haven't paid your vehicle. Well, this is the future, guys. You have a self-driving car. It just might drive away if you're behind on payments. I'm surprised this hasn't been introduced sooner. I mean, what do you guys think of this proposal? Do you think it's okay for your car to lock you out if you haven't made the payments, or even drive out of your driveway and head towards a junkyard, as says one of the places could be? I'd like to say, hey, yeah, is it going to drive through my garage door? I'll hold the damn thing hostage at that point. Good luck getting through that. Oh, man. I'm telling you, man, the robots are taking over. It's clear. Yay! You like podcasts? You're listening to my podcast. Maybe you thought to yourself, I'd like to make a podcast. Too difficult. No, not with Anchor. Anchor has free creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast from your phone or your computer. Anchor distributes your podcast to Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and more. They have advertising integration, so you can even make a little money off your podcast. Everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And good luck with your podcast. Good luck with your creation. Good luck with your life, man. A school suspends sex education after a drag queen told the children there are a total of 73 genders. We have a sex education class that was suspended on the Isle of Man after a drag queen allegedly told some 11-year-olds there are 73 genders. The Isle of Man government has launched an independent review of its personal, social, health, and economic curriculum after parents raised the alarm about the, quote, graphic, disproportionate, indecent presentation of sexual acts and different gender identities understood to have been taught in these lessons. Parents of pupils at Queen Elizabeth High School in Peel on the Isle of Man have reported that Year 7 pupils were specifically taught by a drag queen that there are 73 total genders. That's a lot of genders. I was unaware. I thought there was just a few. And even then, it was just too much for my head to wrap around. I'm trying to get with it here. I'm trying to understand and broaden my horizon and my view of genders. This is a new thing that's going on in the culture, so please be patient with me and the rest of us if you could. To wrap my head around 73 genders, though, is a bit of a stretch. Let's keep reading, though. Maybe we have something to learn here. It says, when one upset child responded and said, "There's only 2 genders," the drag queen allegedly responded by saying, "You've upset me," and made the pupil leave the class. My goodness. See, this is what I'm talking about. With these changes in the culture are happening, but have a little patience on the other side. Give us this is not the easiest thing in the world to understand, that there are 73 genders. And, I'm questioning the premise of 73 genders up top, but I'm willing to keep reading and learning. I am open to being convinced. But that being said, if I screw it up, don't eject me from the premises, to kick the child out for not understanding. This is an 11-year-old, they're saying? I mean, I think that's a little over the top of a response. You would think a drag queen would be patient. Okay, it says here the 11-year-olds at school, some of them were taught about oral and anal sex. Oh boy, the anal sex. 11-year-olds? All right, not that they can't see that on their smartphone anyways, but to teach it in a school seems a little out of place. Another group of kids were taught about sex change operations and were shown how skin graft taken from a girl's arm could be used on an artificial penis. All right, here's a quote from Eliza Cox. No pun intended there with the name. She's the vice chairman of commissioners. She said, quote, "A lot of the children are just too traumatized to even talk to their parents after this. And as a parent, you don't know what children are being taught at the schools." She said one teacher on the island had told her she had to teach a group of boys and girls in years 7 and 8 how to masturbate. Another teacher was said to be so uncomfortable with the content of the curriculum that they told the pupils, quote, "Please don't listen to me while they taught the lesson." Confused is what that's all about. It says here there's been a petition by the parents that they're claiming that they want an immediate investigation into the alleged actions of teachers delivering the age-inappropriate material to the children, as they say. The petition is addressed to the school's head teacher and signed by more than 500 people. It stated, quote, "We consider the attendance of a drag queen in class and alienating students clearly confused about the information discussed during this session wholly inappropriate. How, who, and why was this guest speaker permitted to discuss gender issues to an inappropriate child audience by an inexperienced and untrained adult? We would like to know." I have nothing against drag queens talking to children. In fact, I remember there was a big uproar about drag queens reading to children at local libraries in some red state, from my understanding, and I thought that was inappropriate to make a stink. I mean, for a drag queen to read to the kids at the library, to volunteer their time. I mean, if anyone wants to volunteer their time to read to children, let them. Who cares what they're wearing? I mean, if they start teaching them masturbation in the library, obviously that's inappropriate. It says here the Isle of Man government said it would commission an independent review to gain an independent understanding of what had taken place. Weren't they there for this? There should be video of this, by the way. Right? We're video recording everything. There should be video of this presentation that then can be reviewed by local government or, the Minister of Education for the island. And then all you got to do is watch the tape. That's evidence. Wow, this is all so convoluted. I'm so grateful I don't have children. I don't even know how you handle it. It says here the spokesperson for the Department of Education said that, quote, "Schools must make sure all content they use is factual and age appropriate and engage with parents so they are aware of what their children are being taught." Did you not ask for a brief from the drag queen prior to the presentation? Hey, maybe you could send us a PDF of what you're going to show them and teach them. I mean, it seems like the Department of Education has just dropped the ball on all fronts with this. And I've made it to the bottom of the article, and still no explanation as for the 73 total genders that they're saying exist. So I still have questions about that. All right, here we have your host of Weird AF News, ever the curious fellow, always looking to expand his horizons when it comes to cultural mores and behaviors and trends. I Googled how many genders in 2023 we have. It says 94 gender identities. I was way off. I thought maybe there was 14. No, add 80, Jonesy. I'm looking, man, I can't even, I've never heard of hardly any of these. Bakla, Bisu, binary, heard of that? Bigender, yeah, that makes sense. Androgynous, aporagender, abinary. It says butch, which I thought was a sort of a derogatory term for lesbians, but apparently it's a gender identity. Calabe. Demi boy. Ooh, I want to be a demi boy. That sounds wonderful. Do demi boys fly? It sounds like someone with superheroes. Don't worry, demi boy to the rescue. Oh, here's one that I think is inappropriate. Gender F-U-C-K. I don't agree with that one. That's a little vulgar to be a gender F-U-C-K. It's I'm going to go with the one after that, genderless. Yeah, I'm just going to be genderless forever. That way I don't get into any trouble. Yay! You're gonna cry 96 tears. You're gonna cry 96 tears. I always wondered why it was 96 tears. Why did you think of that song, Jonesy? I don't know why. Maybe it was the 94 genders. I really dig that song, though. That'd be a good karaoke jam. I sang karaoke over the weekend. Had a blast, man. I sang, what did I sing? I sang The Killers, and then I sang Mary Jane by Rick James. Well, that song is wonderful. Extolling the virtues of a wonderful plant. What else did I do? Oh, I sang an R. Kelly song. Don't tell anybody. Yeah, I totally did. I sang, what one was it? You Remind Me. Yeah, it's a nice love song. I'm torn with the R. Kelly thing. As a person, he's a piece of crap, but I love that early music of his. 12 play. Ooh, can't get enough of that. Anyways, I'm not afraid of being canceled, so I'll admit to the world that I sang R. Kelly at karaoke. There's a video of it too. Maybe I'll post it in the Patreon if you guys would like to see that. And then you could spread it around, and then I'll be a headline at that point, I think. Thankfully, I don't have a large enough of a following for anyone really to give a damn that I sang R. Kelly at karaoke. Maybe one day. I don't think like Kevin Hart could get away with that, singing R. Kelly at karaoke. He would lose jobs. He'd have to explain himself. But I'm not there. I got like 36 fans, so I think I'm pretty safe now. I don't know. Anyways, I don't really have any announcements, so I'm just rambling a little bit. I hope you're okay with that. I was going to publish some phone calls, but I can't get the Google Drive to spit out all the messages, so I'm going to try again tomorrow, and we'll publish them tomorrow. You should call the show, though, if you have an opinion on some of this stuff, especially the gender story that I just did. Yeah, please call in. 646-450-2012. And I'd love to hear from someone in India. I'd love to learn a little bit more about this, these wedding ceremonies and whatnot. And on what level of normal was that story? I'm very curious. See, I want to learn, guys. That's what we're here for. We're here to learn and laugh, I would say. Yeah. Get a little education. Be up to date. And, of course, Weird AF News gives you these little anecdotes that you can then spring on people at parties, which is pretty cool. Be like, hey, did you hear about the blah, blah, blah? And you tell them about some weird story. So I'm always whipping out these weird stories at parties and stuff. People go crazy. Well, how do you know that? How do you know that? And then I use it as a jumping off point to introduce them to my podcast. So anyways, this ramble has to end. Must end. Go to weirdafnews.com if you'd like to support the show. And please subscribe. All right. I appreciate you.